So I know as soon as you read this title, sounds like the stupidest thing ever, but hear me out for 1 minute as there is new information from 11.1 that makes this so mind-blowing. So spoiler alert, but Gallywix is repairing the Dark Heart and doesn't want to give it to Xal'atath until she completes her end of the bargain, but then a mysterious ethereal appears and steals it. At this point it isn't sure if this is a void ethereal that is actually working for her. However, that opens a whole can of worms. People have actually connected that Xal'atath has bandages, a belt, and a headpiece, just like the ethereals that she added to this void body later. The ethereals are very familiar with Xal'atath suspiciously. We know void-lined ethereals exist, and her naming convention even matches that of a Nexus king, of an actual ethereal or a broker. We've learned she was on Karesh in ancient times, so what if she's literally the void equivalent of Archimonde? One of the ethereal leaders that betrayed them, helped the Void Lords destroy her planet, and was therefore transformed into a powerful cosmic entity, becoming the right hand of Dimensius the All Devouring. I know, sounds super crazy, but let's cover the actual hints that we have. If you wanted anything Warcraft related, Gamido has the best deals on the market that you can get with my link below. You can get almost every other game's software, and they also just added mobile top-ups for all your favorite mobile games with the craziest prices. You can also use my code DORON to get yet another discount, so click my link and get the best deals at Gamido. So I ran across this theory. It is not actually my own, but I know how ridiculous it sounds, and I wouldn't personally have even thought about this until we got the 11.1 PTR a few days back, with a lot of new ethereal lore and their involvement with the Dark Heart and the storyline. However, there's so many oddly suspicious things currently going on that it really does make you wonder if this is an actual possibility. So, as you may be aware, the ethereals are the super intelligent denizens of a planet known as Karesh, whose planet was destroyed by Dimensius the All Devouring, the Void Lord, that is currently honing in on our planet and is probably coming in midnight. The ethereals tried to defend, they failed, and their form was destroyed together with their planet, and a portion of them swore to fight Dimensius and the Void Lords until the very end. We don't have the timeline for this, but it is likely that this happened in ancient history. Now, Xal'atath here comes into the picture, so before anyone says she's an old god, we literally got multiple confirmations in the game that she's older than them. She isn't an old god, she's like this cosmic void figure outside of Azeroth. And another interesting hint, another interesting fact we got about her is that she's apparently a survivor, but we'll get to this in a bit. Every little hint we got so far is that she doesn't seem to origin from Azeroth, that she very likely took part in the destruction of Karesh in ancient history as well, that she was a favorite of Dimensius who granted her a gift, and that seems to be a step above the old gods and beneath the Void Lords who are her masters. Now, before I go on yapping here for an hour, what could be, what should be, let me explain to you in really simple terms what I mean. I think she could be the Void equivalent of Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, essentially. Who were Kil'jaeden and Archimonde? Eredar, some of the most intelligent people in the universe who joined Sargeras willingly, betrayed their own people, and then turned into actual demons, and turned into some of the most powerful beings in the universe that destroyed many planets themselves. I think Xal'atath is the exact same thing, a parallel, just of the ethereals instead of the Eredar. Think of Xal'atath as Archimonde and the old gods as the lesser beings like Manrod and the Pit Lords. When you think about it, ethereals and Eredar are actually very similar. Both are magic users, both are super intelligent. There is a reason Dimensius invaded their planet, and it is likely that Dimensius sought traitors and allies within their midst who would join his ranks. Do you remember the start of the war with him? The lead ethereal guy was very familiar, oddly familiar with Xal'atath, and he knew exactly who she was. We've also learned from the ethereals in this expansion that their planet Karesh gave the same radiant song as Azeroth is currently giving us. It is likely that Xal'atath played a part in this as well, as Azeroth is giving us similar symptoms. However, now that I think of it, so many pieces actually kind of fall into place. First of all, people have been talking about this months ago, but there are actual visual similarities. Now, I know Xal'atath is using a Void Elf body, but the ornaments that she personally added to this body she's possessing is exactly what an ethereal would use. Look at the bandages that she has on the legs, also this giant gem that she has on her belt, as well as on her headpiece, also a void-like gem. It is literally the same thing that so many other ethereals have. have. However, another thing that made me think is her actual name. While not exactly the same, she does actually fit a similar naming convention as the ethereals we had seen in the past. Check out the Nexus Prince Xal'atath, Haramad, Razan, Wind Trader Mufah, Kadavan. Not exactly similar, but there is an apostrophe and there are some actual name similarities. Now, the word Zal does seem to actually be void related. We've seen this name mentioned in various old god and void contexts, so I think this might be an added name to her, similar to how the Eredar eventually turned into the Manari. I think she added a part to her name. However, the other bit, Atat, seems like it could definitely fit in ethereal. For example, Haramad, Haratat. Another big thing is those crazy broker guys that you might remember from the Shadowlands. These guys must be related to ethereals, although they never officially linked them. They're super intelligent. They also have very similar naming conventions to Xal'atath, even more so than the actual ethereals. There is something crazy going on with these brokers. They're super intelligent, they travel through depth, they obviously know things we don't know, and they even know the very origins of creation itself. However, think about it. While a big part of the ethereals made it their existence to battle the Void Lords, we have actually seen void-aligned ethereals that surrender to it. The Void also constantly recruits minions of their own. I mean, we've seen this on Azeroth countless times, so many various Void servants all throughout history. Do you really think they wouldn't recruit some of the most powerful beings of another planet? I think there is a plausible theory that in the ancient past, Xal'atath was one of the ethereal leaders of Karesh, similar to how Velen, Archimonde, and Kil'jaeden used to rule over Argus. This is like if one of those WoW villains actually succeeded, so imagine Deathwing actually brought the Hour of Twilight and succeeded and actually turned into a cosmic being that started going to other planets. In fact, I think this might be what Ashara is after at the moment and why she is in the Void Realm. She might want to become an Azeroth's version of this as well. However, let's examine other evidence because it gets even more mind-boggling. There is actually more. So, one of the descriptions regarding this expansion was that she was a survivor of the ancient times, which no one had any clue what this meant at the time. This also perfectly fits in with this theory. She survived the destruction of Karesh and evolved into a different being. Think of it how she proved her worth by destroying her own planet, and then she joined as one of the lead Void figures. Therefore, she survived the ordeal. However, we learned in this expansion as well that Demencius avoided her on Azeroth and he gave her a staff known as Void Song as a gift. Keep in mind, we also got new dialogues from Classic a few weeks back where she says that the old gods are washed up has-beens that have been useful to an extent, but they're essentially messed things up. They're kinda useless at this point. The idea is that she might have been awarded for Karesh, for destroying it, for betraying it, or for getting the old gods in line back during the Black Empire when something happened, because there are hints that there was a rebellion. Actually, a very similar parallel to Kil'jaeden and Archimonde. These guys became the left and the right hand of Sargeras, and they destroyed countless planets after helping destroy their own. All of these though are way hints, but I wanna give you some actual spoilers now from the 11.1 PTR, as we had just datamined most of the storyline for the Undermined patch. I'm going to keep it as short as possible. The new lore is that apparently ancient goblins crafted this dark heart in ancient history for Deathwing, just how they crafted the dragon's soul. Xal'atath turned to them to repair it after it was destroyed because she knew this. Gallywix is the one that accepts this cursed deal and he gets to work. However, he doesn't seem to get his end of the bargain from Xal'atath. He doesn't wanna give Xal'atath her dark heart until she fulfills her part of the deal. Meanwhile, mysterious void-like ethereals are in the background of this entire questline. Then, an ethereal steals the dark heart from Gallywix and Xal'atath then abandons Gallywix to his fate, with us essentially turning him into a fool. At the moment, it isn't clear who exactly this ethereal is working for, whether he took it for the ethereals to spite Xal'atath or whether Xal'atath sent a secret ethereal agent to take the repaired artifact so that she doesn't have to do anything herself. There are heavy hints that at the moment this ethereal could be serving Xal'atath, and all of this could lead us into the big reveal soon of who she really is. If the ethereal really is working for her, it might be because she was an ethereal herself, and as I previously said, we know void ethereals exist. I know this would be underwhelming that after all these theories, Xal'atath is just one simple random ethereal, but I think if this would be the case, there would just be one part of the story. I mean, Archimonde wasn't just an Eredar leader, he was later on a full-on demon. By the end, he turned into a being ridiculously powerful that he could match actual cosmic beings at the time. I think something similar is going on with Xal'atath. We actually have no clue what the ethereals looked like in the ancient times, what their humanoid form was, but if she was a queen of the ethereals that betrayed them, aka Azshara from Karesh, she was pumped up with the void and turned into something far more powerful than she used to be, something akin to the Void Lords. As magic users, ethereals definitely sought power, just like how Azshara, a magic user, also sought power that was outside of this planet. Then Dimensius sent her to the Black Empire, but the old gods might have outsmarted her, that is why she was lost, like she fell into rebellion. I think this could totally be plausible. There are heavy hints we could be going to Karesh during the saga. Also, as you can see, Xal'atath is quite intelligent, quite like an ethereal. Recently, we got a ton of new ethereal models, actual naked models with a ton of customization, almost as if we were getting a playable race. But then, in 11.1 PTR, none of these models are actually being used, which means these models could be a midnight thing or a later patch thing. Something definitely mysterious is going on with the brokers and the ethereals, and they're far more knowledgeable about what is going on than we are. Personally, I think it would be interesting if Xal'atath was originally a traitor queen of the ethereals that was then transformed into a powerful void being. Thank you for watching. Check out the giant secret that will be revealed in Alternate by clicking on the screen, and check out my new raid channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.